All right. Let's start where we should. And I'm in the house with senior counsels. I'm informed quite correctly, you're senior counsel 4. So I'm obliged to start with you for your response. Senior counsel Ahmednasir, what's your reading of what happened today with UDA?
I think this is my senior by around 2 minutes.
Around 2 minutes?
Yeah, just about. He signed the role and I signed after 2 minutes.
Yeah, but it's still a senior?
Yes, I'm 5, okay. He's 4.
All right. Yeah. Well, what's your reading? What's your reading of what happened, especially what the Deputy President had to say today to his boss?
I think we have, officially, I think almost we have the 2 main candidates now for the President. Last week, it was, the weekend it was the Honorable former Prime Minister, Raila. And I think today, I think the party UDA nominated the Deputy President to be the running mate. So I think now we are almost officially kicking off the season. We know who are the main 2 candidates for the presidency. So I think the race has started.
The gloves are off, if you like. For the first time, we had things like my competitors' monopoly. They've monopolized state institutions. They have weaponized, DCI, EACC, and the courts against, political opponents. State capture, all right, and that sort of thing.
I think, it's the first time he said, but I think if you look at what happened in the last 4 years in terms of the second term of Jubilee, I think there's a general consensus in the country that basically it was a one-man rule. The president was a one-man, it was a one-man government, no opposition. Parliament was, doing what he wants. The judiciary was, during Maraga's time, I think the judiciary was fairly strong, but we are seeing some signs that the judiciary now is becoming an important or an integral part of government. So, from a political and legal perspective, the last 4 years have been very unique in this country in terms of how the government was running. We had, a functional but dysfunctional government, an opposition that was in government, and a government that was, thrown out of government. So, there's a lot of very unique things that happen in this country, and I think making sense of that is not an easy task.
I want to get to Senior Counsel 5, but first I want to just play exactly that bit so that we speak on the same thing of what the Deputy President said today, so that we are all speaking on the same.
Gender was abandoned, pushed into the back burner, as execution of its flagship projects was left at the mercy of forces of emergent state capture. Those who remained loyal to our founding vision were shunned, hounded, threatened, and then persecuted. This is how we lost 4 years that would have gifted us with a brilliant blossoming of a beautiful dream which inspired millions of Kenyans in 2013. To his credit, my friend the President did inform me that he needed space to work on his personal legacy as the 4th President. I obliged, and this led to my eventual retreat to the margins of a government that I had participated in forming.
Prof, let's get your reading of what's currently happening. As Senior Counsel Ahmednasir says, well, it looks like the gloves are off, but it's for the first time, and we have the 2 candidates. Not only that, but we expected the Deputy President to respond at some point, because his boss in the last month or so had come out. Right? What's your reading of what happened today?
James, thank you very much. I do believe that the Deputy President, in the 4 years that my learned friend Ahmednasir has referred to, has been the substantive Deputy President. And I think my reading of the Constitution, Article 137, clearly points to the Deputy President having a functional office, and that is his role as Deputy President in office is read together with what Article 132 provides, that he's part of the presidency and is part of the execution of the agenda of the presidency. He cannot run away from the agenda of the presidency. I think what is new is that he's telling us that he has not been part of the action in the last 4 years, but he was very much a part of the action in the last election from 2013. I think that constitutionally, he cannot run away from what Jubilee has done as a party. He cannot run away from what government has done. He therefore will take blame for any inaction on the part of government and would take credit for any action on the part of government.
Yeah. Is it not a principal assistant to the president? So in that effect, the president has to assign him duties.
Essentially, he is the assistant president. In fact, if you look at the presidency as set out in the Constitution, it includes the deputy president and the cabinet. So you cannot say that cabinet executed certain tasks and left him out, or that he sat back and let the president and his cabinet work, and he did not work. I think the deputy president is perhaps speaking too much. He should just sit back, focus on the election, but not make too much noise, because we know that he was part of the Jubilee government. He cannot run away from what the Jubilee government did not do.
You know, in law, as my learned friend rightly knows, in law, what my learned friend describes is there is a distinction between de jure and de facto. One is a factual situation and one is a legal situation. Of course, the deputy president legally, constitutionally, is the deputy president. But de facto, was he exercising the functions of the deputy president? No. And the answer is too obvious. We don't have to labor the point, because everybody knows that the last 4 years, even though the deputy president was legally the deputy president of the country, from a factual point of view, he was not the deputy president. And I will give you so many examples. I think there is this example of, you know, in Mombasa, where he couldn't even access his laundry that was locked in his official residence, because I think someone refused him access. So when the deputy president cannot access even his official residence, it shows, you know, how far he has been thrown from the center of power. So, I mean, there are many other examples where I think cabinet has been held without him being invited. There are many functions, state banquets, you know, that he has not been invited. There is so many examples even of his budget, you know, being cut. So legally he was, but I think the uniqueness of the situation was, and I think this is, you know, some of the dicey situation of constitutionalism in Africa, is that even when you are elected a deputy president, the president can do so much that he can completely disregard you, run his government without you, continues to function. If he needs support in parliament, he will. Actually, Raila was the de facto deputy to the president the last 4 years, de facto. But as a matter of fact,
as a question arises, hang on why then could he not resign?
That's the point.
If he didn't find himself useful in that system.
No. But you see, resigning is an option you have. You don't have to resign. You can resign if you are very annoyed, and I think he was really annoyed about the situation.
So he wasn't annoyed enough.
No. I think when you do, you know, a cost-benefit analysis of the situation, probably he thought that he can continue. But I think, and Prof, you can't argue about this. The last 4 years, the deputy president was deputy president in name, because his functions were more exercised by the former prime minister.
I think that is an overstatement, James. I do not think that any single day did His Excellency Raila Odinga sit in the office of the deputy president. Never. But let's take ourselves back to history, the Limuru conference and the aftermath. When Jaramogi Odinga was treated very much in the same way. He was not assigned duties, and the then president, the late Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, acted in a manner that demonstrated that obviously Jaramogi Odinga was not a vice president in execution of his duties as a vice president. And it got to a point where Jaramogi resigned. Why didn't His Excellency William Ruto resign?
I think that's a very good point.
Yeah, he would have resigned.
I think that's a very good point.
But it is also not true, Ahmednasir, senior counsel, that Raila Odinga at any point sat in as a deputy president.
We are not talking of the physical sitting in. We are talking of the de facto sitting